All right, well, I'm Dr. Benjamin Fergus. This is Dr. Jay McCracken and Liz, and we're the team here at Cornerstone Health along with with Emma up front. And we are chiropractors, but our main goal in Cornerstone Health is to help people where if they move, they feel a limitation or discomfort. That's really our specialty. So it's not all adjustment based, although we do provide chiropractic adjustments. Our main goal is to be movement specialists. We want you to move well, move comfortably, and ideally be able to reverse any issues that feel like they're kind of holding you back from the things you like to do. So that's a little bit about us. If you have something like a lingering pain or limitation you want us to take a look at, just chat with us at the end, or we can set up an appointment. Otherwise, today is all about giving you some strategies for what you can do with a cheap piece of foam at home. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little background on foam rolling. I know somebody brought their foam roller with them, A+ student here. Does everybody have a foam roller at home? Yeah, you don't? Okay, so these ones, generally, we just get the Amazon basic ones. They can get super fancy. There are $100 foam rollers with battery packs and heat and vibration and all of that built in. But these are really what we use day in and day out, just Amazon basics. You don't need to be super high tech with this. So there are two main approaches to foam rolling that we're going to be discussing today. The first one is probably what's most common, which is self-massage via pressure and movement over the roller. The other one is just using the foam roller as a prop for other mobility exercises. So the equipment that's needed, we recommend, if you can tolerate it, use a firm or high density foam roller. Typically they're color coded, where blacks are usually firm. We've got this blue one right here. That's a medium density foam roller. We bring that out if somebody's very sensitive to that pressure. Typically the white foam rollers are low density. Those are more like a packing peanut density, where it's not going to provide a lot of pressure. More of like a soft relaxation massage versus a trigger point deep tissue massage with the firm ones. These are 36. Some of you have the 24 and 18-inch foam rollers. You can do almost everything we're going to go through today with any size foam roller. These are the most versatile for like a home gym or a gym like ours, but a lot of people like to have the 18-inch ones for travel, for sticking in the corner of the office. They can get a little bit of work in here and there. Is foam rolling safe? We'll start off with that. This is one of the great things about foam rolling. From a meta-analysis, which means an analysis of an analysis, or an analysis of a lot of different research, there's almost a complete absence of negative side effects with foam rolling. So pretty universally we could say, hey, if you use a foam roller for any purposes of mobility, it's a pretty safe thing that anybody can do. Here's what's really going on. Well, essentially the research is a bit elusive, and there's some contraindications within the research, but I want you to have some knowledge about what's happening with foam rolling regardless. There is some consensus in a few areas. First, the term pre-rolling is just using a foam roller before you do exercise or before you do activity. That activity might be posture at your desk, or it might be running a triathlon. So pre-rolling before athletic activity seems to give us a short-term improvement in flexibility and joint range of motion, and it does not seem to decrease performance. So we get a boost in flexibility, and it doesn't have a negative effect on how fast you can run or how heavy you can lift. They do show that in elite athletes, sprinting performance has a meaningful improvement if you foam roll before sprinting. So we're talking about, a couple notches of a percentage point up to 3% improvement, which in somebody who's already an elite athlete, that's a meaningful number. If somebody's a beginner in running, that percentage bonus is probably not as meaningful for them. And then we also show that the recovery rate for speed and strength is improved if you do post-exercise rolling. So when you finish your exercise, your readiness to exercise again happens a bit faster if you foam roller after you do your normal exercise. Two more boring points here from the research. Post-rolling alleviates exercise-induced muscle soreness. This is probably why most of us go to a foam roller. We feel a little bit sore after activity, and there's a fairly unanimous consensus that, yeah, foam rolling reduces that soreness in the muscles. Also, this is a big one. We're always looking at this. There are psychological aspects at play with foam rolling. So even if the research says, hey, it's kind of a gray area, we don't really know what's going on, when they actually look at the user, you and me and athletes, almost unanimously, those individuals enjoy the experience of foam rolling, and psychologically, they feel some improvement from that. And at the elite athlete level, that's super important. Just giving somebody a feeling that something's improving can sometimes be more impactful than actually seeing that change in the tissues. So we can have some gray areas, but still know that these 4 things are pretty well agreed upon within the research. And we'll just summarize those to make it pretty simple here. There's some research that shows there's a reduction in tissue adhesion, just the sliding between tissues. There's some research that shows there's pain relief. Essentially, as you foam roller, your mechanisms of pain reduce or are gated. There's an increased blood flow and parasympathetic circulation. Parasympathetic is your rest and digest. So it can take you from like an alert, ow, this hurts, I'm really stiff and tense, down to more of a relaxed state, both at the local level and in your central nervous system. And finally, if we interpret all of these, the things I want you to remember at the end of today are super simple. Foam rolling is safe. It's a safe way to create a short-term improvement in mobility via muscle flexibility and joint range of motion. If you foam roller after exercise, the time before you're ready to exercise again gets shortened, so faster recovery. And really, to get the benefits, foam rolling should always be paired with exercise. So if the only thing I did was foam roll my body, I wouldn't expect dramatic changes. But if we have somebody who's really stiff and we have them foam roll, come on in, welcome. There's some mats here and some foam rollers and some smoothies up front. So if we pair it with exercise, we foam roll first, we get some muscle flexibility, that leads to a range of motion difference. And then if we start to exercise after we get that range of motion change, we're starting to train a bigger range of motion, and that's what starts to lead to the long-term results. And finally, there's a psychological benefit to essentially working through some discomfort, working through a tight muscle, and doing that with a positive mindset. That's helpful from the psychological point of view for all of us, is to be able to address discomfort on our own. All right, any questions on that basic overview of some of the science and interpretation behind the science of foam rolling? Or does that not matter to anybody today? That's good, yeah. I mean, we love foam rolling, we use it a lot, but occasionally the question comes up, so why do we foam roll? So I wanted to give you a little bit of information about that. So we're gonna foam roll in 2 ways today. The first thing we're gonna do is go through a few muscle regions and show you just some basic skills of how to use the foam roller for self-massage. Then we're gonna use the foam roller as a prop, and we're gonna go through a couple mobility exercises where the foam roller is essentially acting as a spacer for movement to help us create different forms of exercises. Okay, so we are gonna start with standing thoracic. This one, we're gonna have to share some space. We've got a lot of wall space, but a lot of props against the wall as well. Standing thoracic, I usually skip over this myself because I don't have a lot of sensitivity in my upper back. But if your upper back is pretty sensitive, or you're working with a client and their upper back's pretty sensitive, the standing thoracic is a pretty easy way to start. So I'm gonna show you 2 things in the standing position. First is vertical foam roller touching your spine, and you're gonna walk out into essentially a wall squat, and you're gonna try to flatten the upper back against the foam roller. You're gonna bring your chin in to touch the back of your head against the foam roller, and we're just gonna work on Y position. You're just touching your thumbs to the wall above your head and bringing that back. This is using the foam roller as a prop to push the spine forward while I elongate my arms over the roll. So we're gonna start with this leaning and Y position, and the second one is a vertical roller. We think of this as being kind of like a rolling pin for your back in this exercise. We're still in that wall squat. Hands laced behind the head. To stretch the muscles, we're gonna point the elbows forward. Again, you're gonna bring your chin back like you're reaching your head towards the wall, and you're just gonna squat down and up and let that gently roll through the thoracic spine. So